everyone, I'm Princess Link, and welcome back to Metal Gear Solid 4. I put this off for so long, I don't even know why. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it's not like I'm gonna be done reading novelizations of Kojima games after this, because, like, I've got the Death Stranding novelizations that I'm gonna read next. I don't know. Anyway. Chapter 3. The Mount Rushmore had emerged from the ocean surface. Depicted by Haven's Octocamo in the presidential positions, the family of snakes stared down Missouri head-on. Clutching my notebook computer at my chest, just say laptop, dude. Notebook computer, just say laptop. It's like... She's so pretentious, just say red. Anyway. I dashed up the ladderways, eventually parting with Snake and Meryl, who headed for the deck and continuing up toward the bridge. I flew into the bridge to hear Mei Ling shouting orders like thunder. A young assistant... Maintain full speed. Prepare for ship-to-ship combat. The young assistant officer echoed her commands. Mei Ling's voice had already gained the gravitas of a commander. People, when placed in a role, would fill it, whether they wanted to be in the position or not. The circumstances made the person for better or for worse. The Patriots had used that truth on the big shell to put Raiden into Snake's role. First of all, I just want to say, Mei Ling being in the Navy or whatever doesn't make any sense. Because first of all, she wanted to join the Air Force, first of all, but she didn't want to kill anybody. Like, she just wanted to take pictures, basically, from a plane. She wanted to fly a plane and take pictures in the Air Force, but there wasn't anybody who just did that, so she, didn't join the Air Force. So why is she in the Navy now? Like, if she's gonna be in the military, at least make her in the Air Force. I mean, I guess it's for, oh, well, we need a big boat. Oh, Mei Ling, but, dude, what? It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, I started to say, the Arsenal's armament is Mei Ling, his stare fixed upon the distant Haven cut in 800 VLS missile cells on the epistructure and countless MLRS batteries. It's practically a missile field. And we only have naval guns? We have 4 CIWS guns. If one of Haven's missiles gets too close, the phalanx system will shoot it down. I opened my notebook and connected to the Mic 2. The Mic 3. The Mic 2 got destroyed. They did it, actually? I mean, I guess so. Presumably, it's MIA. Presumed KIA. I fly like paper, get high like planes. If you catch me at the border, I got faces in my name. If you come around here, I'll make it more day. I get one done in a second if you wait. I fly like paper. Whenever I hear or see the phrase MIA, or missing in action, I just immediately think of that song, because the singer is called MIA. And that's the only song I know by her. Anyway. Snake hugged the diminutive Metal Gear to his chest and sprinted with Meryl toward the catapults. I had given the robot 2 new upgrades, an anti-microwave coating on the outside and Sunny Swarm cluster in its internal storage. Now Snake had to bring the machine into Haven's server room. The catapult stood on the wooden deck, thrusting into the sky like the swords of giants. The machines had been invented to rapidly deploy firefighters and anti-terrorist squads to the rooftops of burning or captured buildings. The compressed air firing mechanisms would launch the unlucky guinea pig cum human cannonballs 5 stories into the sky. A prime example of a deranged engineering boondoggle unleashed by DARPA on behalf of the American taxpayers. What is a boondoggle? That is not a real word. I got miso soup. I'm not explaining this cup again, okay? I'm not defending my use of it. I already did that on Twitch. You should follow me on Twitch. By the way. I'll put the link in the description, I guess. Anyway. Snake, Meryl, and Johnny climbed into the seats of the catapults, facing the launch rails as if sitting on carousel horses. Once the air pressure was released, the seats would lift up and fling the Strike Team onto Haven's inner deck. Back in the briefing, Snake had seemed happy, envisioning how ridiculous they looked midair, with arms and legs awkwardly bent like frogs in mid-hop. Yeah, because, you know, Snake never does anything ridiculous. I'm trying to think of examples that aren't from Twin Snakes. I'm trying really hard. I know he's done some weird shit outside of Twin Snakes. I know it. I used to have a bunch of, like, Metal Gear Solid 4 screenshots on my phone. Like, I would be watching the video and I'd pause it at some weird moment and I'd be like, oh my god, what? This is so funny. I have to take a picture of it. So and then I took a screenshot. Thanks, YouTube. Anyway, but now I don't have any of them because iPhones are stupid. Anyway, with the Strike Team seated and defenseless, soldiers gathered around them to protect from possible sniper fire. The giant Hulk of the Haven approached. Readying himself for the moment of the launch, Snake stiffened his aged muscles. Prepare to fire the main battery, Mei Ling ordered. Using a rangefinder and gyro compass that were practically ancient relics, the gun operators began computing the necessary data to fire. Turrets swiveled to point at Haven's frame. We might have been beaten in terms of firepower, but the arsenal was not agile, and the boat was both immense and close by. I couldn't believe our cannons would miss that kind of target. That was our solitary hope, at least. When Haven fully surfaced, the bridge began to slide open. The sight was of a titan rending open its mouth to reveal its guts to the daylight. Behind Haven, slashes of sunlight cut through the cloudy steel blue sky, and the colossal structure opened. The scene felt almost mythical. Inside, the railgun's tip slowly froze, revealing itself from within the city of boxy structures. Mei Ling stared through her binoculars, transfixed by Liquid's last gable. There it is, she whispered, the naked nuke. Captain! The young assistant officer, his voice trembling. Said the young assistant officer. Tiny hatches are opening all across Haven's deck. They could be exposed VLS launchers. There's too many to count. Mei Ling needed to remain composed. She gathered herself. I had to eat some seaweed. Dang it. I went food shopping like last week and I wanted to get seaweed snacks. And I forgot. Man. I love seaweed. Okay. She gathered herself and steadily, decisively ordered the advance. Maintain full speed. The CIWS will take care of the hostile missiles. The officer shouted. The enemy missiles are launching. Threads of smoke rose from Haven. The smoke climbed straight up, U-turned back down until just kissing the water surface, then cut straight for Missouri. Fire! Mei Ling roared, and the three-gun turrets spit fire. The crew members on deck had covered their ears, so no eardrums were broken, but the severity of the blast and intensity of the powder smoke left more than a few coughing, Snake included. Wait, okay, I was thinking about this yesterday, and Snake probably has really bad teeth. Because this isn't stuff I think about, okay? Well, like, from the cigarettes alone, like, they're not cigarettes, like, stain your teeth. Everyone knows that. Anyway. But also, I headcanon that he has depression. Like, really bad depression. And, like, you know, sometimes his depression is so bad that he can't even brush his teeth. You know, maybe projecting or speaking from experience. What is that? I don't know. Anyway, Snake has bad teeth. That's what I'm saying. Probably. And, like, I mean, if you're presumed dead, then it's not like, I mean, it's not like he went to the dentist probably at all. It's just like, anyway, yeah, I was thinking about that yesterday for whatever reason. Where was I? Yeah. Snake was coughing. It's like the whole game. The 50 caliber shells flew through the cloud of oncoming missiles straight for Haven. A few connected with missiles, exploding the warhead instantly and catching several more in a chain reaction. The shells struck Haven's bridge, but the gently sloping exterior masterfully repelled the projectiles. You know, I could have made a joke, but it would not have made sense unless you watched a specific YouTube video. It's not even mine, like, and it's not Metal Gear, it's not mine. Anyway, yeah, projectiles. The barrage left visible but minor dents, nothing that could really be called damage. While in motion, the Arsenal-class vessel looked like a gently rolling hill gliding atop the waves. No matter which angle Missouri's guns fired from, the projectiles would hit at a shallow angle. Mei Ling clicked her tongue. The bridge crew were on hand to provide rapid-fire reports on the battle. Even when we hit the target, said one of the young men, there's only light damage, and the other one added, missiles incoming! I don't know what that was. I was trying to sound different from the first guy. One missile that had survived the chain of explosions grazed Missouri's starboard hull, right where the Kamikaze Zero had struck, and exploded at the water surface. The rest either blew up near the battleship or were destroyed by the CIWS. The sea burst and poured over the wooden decks, but Missouri didn't slow, her prow barreling straight toward Haven. Mei Ling switched her microphone to broadcast through the entire ship and said, all hands, prepare for impact. Brace yourselves. I managed to wrap my arm around a handrail just as Missouri's nose collided with Haven's belly. The bridge shook like a drying machine, and even Mei Ling was knocked off her feet. Why wouldn't she be? My arm felt like it was being pulled from its socket, and I gritted my teeth in pain. The two ships had met at a slight angle. Missouri cut toward the starboard side, and the two ships scraped past each other with a dreadful, deafening screech of metal on metal. That's Metal Gear! Even sent to the floor, Mei Ling held onto her microphone. She had something to do before climbing to her feet. If she missed her timing, everything would be over. Now! The tightly compressed gas was let free, and the piston lifted Snake's seat. Fierce G-forces assaulted him, threatening to shatter his hip bone into pieces. The old man bore not only his own weight, but that of the Mark III, and as the chair heaved him skyward, the muscles and trace amounts of fat in his backside. Yeah, trace amounts of fat in his ass. Like, he doesn't have the biggest ass ever. Felt like they would crush his pelvis, but the sensation was brief. The next thing Snake knew, his body was tracing a parabola, and he could see the decks of the Haven and Missouri below. Merrill launched next and seemed to be chasing his posterior through the air. Stop talking about his ass. His fat old man ass. Anyway. Snake's hunch had been right. They did look ridiculous. Just then, Haven knocked to the side and slammed into Missouri. The larger ship's mast bore down on Missouri and jarred the old battleship. Unfortunately, Akiba's catapult launched at that moment. His trajectory sent askew. Akiba flew in a direction far from Snake and Merrill. He didn't have much time to lament the fact the turn of events beyond his control. By the time he knew what had happened, Solid Snake's titanic countenance occupied his field of view. I'm assuming by countenance you mean ass? His titanic ass? Johnny Akiba's screams silenced when he struck Mount Snakemore. Never mind, I guess. Also, his name is Johnny Sasaki, not Akiba. What are you talking about? Merrill called out to him, and he looked over his shoulder to see Snake, unlucky as ever, kiss Snake slowly looked, then tumbled down Haven's hole and into the sea. Meanwhile, the real Snake had crossed into Haven's exposed inner bow. Wait, that's such an anime thing. Like falling on somebody and then making out with them because you fell, like, with your face right on their face. Like, that's so anime. It's just like one of my Japanese animes. Which is such an awkward line because in English, I should specify, because in Japan, anime just refers to any animation, but in, like, the rest of the world, or at least, like, English-speaking countries, it refers specifically to Japanese animation. So, like, for an American to say Japanese anime is redundant, and also anime is this plural of anime, and there's just an S in there, and it's like, everyone faces the guy who did Metal Gear Solid's translation, but it's like you've got weird problems like the Japanese animes, and it's like, you couldn't have fixed that? Or the spelling mistakes in the game? That might not have been that guy though. I don't know. Anyway, in the moments before he struck the deck, he attempted to maneuver into a lightning stance. Snake possessed some experience. When he had infiltrated the tanker where Metal Gear Ray was held, he'd bungee jumped to the ship from the George Washington bridges. I've been replaying Metal Gear Solid 2 recently, and I spent, like, so long trying to get Snake Beater, and this is on an emulator. Like, it's not like I'd actually get, like, an achievement for it. I just want to see it, because last time I missed it, but I cannot get it to trigger. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, and it's so annoying. I put Snake in timeout for it. He got a timeout because he didn't want to jerk off. Which sounds so weird. Like, in any other context, that would be so weird, but, like... Anyway. Yeah, I gave David a timeout because he didn't want to jerk off, and it's like, what are you talking about? Are you insane? They're like, no, it's a video game. It's just like it's a weird, goofy scene in a video game that I was trying to see involving somebody. I'm gonna stop talking about this actually because my parents know about this channel. Anyway, Snake thought he had the landing down, but his aged body wasn't able to keep up. He attempted a 3-point landing with both knees and his right arm, but he couldn't absorb the inertia of his fall and tumbled to the ground, rolling a few yards down the deck. Snake had done his best to roll out of the landing, but his body smashed against the inside of his sneaking suit. Of course, he didn't have time to play on the ground. He put his hand on the deck to push himself to his feet, and the muscles in his shoulder and arm cried out in pain. Beneath the opto camera and power assist systems, his skin was battered and bloodied. Gritting through the pain, gritting his teeth, gritting what? What? Snake searched for a place to hide. He had to retreat before liquid soldiers came running. Snake swiftly took notice of his surroundings. Within Haven's Hole, the ship's bow was as if it had appeared from afar. A labyrinthine city of rectangular, windowless structures, some 3 or 4 stories high. I don't know if I talked about this before, but I really don't like it that the B&B unit is just not in the book. And I don't like it. What was that? My stomach just made a weird noise. I don't know if you could hear it. But, like, I mean, yeah, they're weird and forgettable. At least they aren't naked. Kojima really wanted them to be naked. And it's like, can you please be normal for 5 seconds? Sir, can you please be normal? Speaking of Kojima, apparently he likes Supernatural. Which feels like cursed information somehow. Like, he posted something about, like, getting something Supernatural on Twitter. I don't know. I had a screenshot of it, but again, iPhones are stupid. Anyway. But it's like, somehow, this feels like something I wasn't supposed to know. Like, I'm expecting somebody to find Odasuna Destiel tweet to match the Odasuna Chanla tweet. Anyway. Okay, yeah. Snake saw no signs of Meryl or Johnny amid the sprawling blocks, but since his visibility was limited by the irregular and perplexing layout of the deck, the two might yet be close. Just as Snake began to worry about Meryl, the ring of an incoming call over the codec vibrated the bones of his inner ear. "Snake!" Meryl whispered. From the sound of her voice, she too was fighting pain. "I hurt my right ankle." "Can you walk?" Snake asked. Meryl tried to stand, but her sprained ankle buckled under the weight. When Snake asked if she was all right, she laughed dryly and said, "Hurts a hell of a lot more without SOP." Before, the SOP would have quickly detected any injuries she sustained. Why is my stomach making noises? That was severe enough to impede the combat performance and subdue the pain through sensory deprivation or increased endorphin output. Under the system, she had still felt pain, but only as a virtual sensation. A phantom pain in place of the real one, just strong enough to provide awareness of the injury without dulling her reflexes. No, for the first time in a long time, Meryl experienced the real thing. God, I wish that were me. Not the feeling, the not feeling pain. Like, I mean, dude, it'd be so nice to just not feel any pain at all. What? I'm talking to my stomach. Anyway, Snake said, "Makes you feel alive, doesn't it?" Long forgotten sensations disoriented soldiers freed from the SOP's control. Sensations imposed by flesh and vein were often unpleasant. Over their long evolutional history, vertebrates acquired the ability to feel as a fundamental function for survival. Of course, such perceptions, however unpleasant, were part of keeping alive. And since nobody could find someone else to experience the sensations for them, most people are content to take the bad with the good. I am not. I get bad cramps. Like, you know, wink. But yeah, I wanna have my whole thingy just removed, just gone, you know. Snake asked, "What about Johnny?" "He fell into the ocean." Akiba was out of the mission before it even started. The guy was proving more hopeless than ever. And he'd fallen between Haven and Missouri. That he'd done so without injury was unlikely. Both Snake and Meryl worried for him, but they could do nothing but hope. Gunfire reported over the codec, and the shots echoed through the ship's interior. Meryl was under fire, near enough for the battle to be heard. "Snake," she said, "I'll catch up soon. You go ahead." "Meryl!" Snake shouted, but she broke the connection. No. Going back to the thing about the B&Bs, I actually really like Laughing Octopus's fight. I don't know. I think it's cool. And, like, I don't know. The rest, I don't particularly care for. But Laughing Octopus, I like her boss fight. Like, if you ask me, my favorite Metal Gear boss fight would have to be Laughing Octopus, just by default, because that's like the only one I can think of that I like actually really like. Like, I don't know, I like the, like, you know, she like disguises herself as like a thingy, like a mannequin, or like a dead body on the ground, and like she hides in a box and stuff. I don't know, it's cool. It's unique. And like, you know, I don't know. Anyway. Blocking out his pain, Snake ran in the direction of the gunfire. "Otacon, can you trace your transmission?" I compared Naomi's coordinates with Haven's schematics. "You mean Meryl? Naomi is dead. She is not here." "What are you talking about?" "Don't do Meryl like that, man. I hate Naomi so much." She was toward the ship's stern near the saver room. Snake asked, "How long till JD reaches its pedigree?" 14 minutes, 20 seconds. The worm takes 2 minutes to upload. You haven't much time. Snake enabled his suit's octocamo and entered the maze of the ship's bow. He breathed quickly and his body was tense. The Haven troopers, on the other hand, were connected through the SOP and worked in coordination as they tightened their noose. The U.S. military had been denied the SOP, but Liquid's forces had its unrestricted use. If Snake were found, he wouldn't have a chance. Even the legendary hero couldn't allow himself to be drawn into close combat. To be surrounded by the troopers' overwhelming force was to be caught inside a beehive. Beehive, no, don't put your foot in there, God, don't try that. Sorry, I've had that song in my mind a lot recently. I drew a comic about Metal Gear Solid 2, but I guess based on that song. I don't know. I thought it was funny, but it got like no notes on Tumblr. Which is sad because I spent like 20 minutes on it. I think I spent longer trying to post it than I did actually drawing it. Anyway. In the end, he needed to rely on his strength. Stealth, advancing slow and steady like a tortoise to catch his enemies off guard, to carefully search out an opening in the dragnet. Only Snake didn't have time for a cautious approach. I connected my notebook computer to Gaudi, pulled open a mathematical model I'd previously prepared, and began inputting any data I could predict. My ship's bridge still quaked from the collision with Haven, and a couple of times my hands nearly slipped off my keyboard. But in about 15 seconds, I'd entered the last of the numbers and launched the simulation. Such a long chapter. The computer program was one of the many inside resources obtained through Naomi. Shut up about Naomi. I'm gonna kick your ass. You know that thing? It's like, I'll kick your ass, I'll kick your dog's ass, I'll kick my own ass, I'll kick anyone's ass. Whatever, that's just me. Like, I told my sunglasses I'd kick their ass because they kept falling off. The code was a top secret resource belonging to AT Security, and the leaked information could, in the wrong hands, be fatal to the U.S. Armed Forces. The software analyzed information from the SOP and assessed the current battle situation to provide better command over the soldiers. I am so sweaty. Cramps. Wink. I don't know why I'm saying wink. Well, I mean, I'm saying it because I can't actually wink. Because I'm just so cool like that, you know? The software analyzed information from the SOP and assessed... I just read that, didn't I? The program suite could propose the most appropriate tactical actions to commanders. I got a Tumblr notification. Not about my comic. Please like my comic on Tumblr. Hoist Blinko, baby! Hoist Blinko! What about Naomi Blinko? Naomi Blinko. Naomi in the Blinko machine. What will she do? I don't know. Where was I? The program suite could propose the most appropriate tactical actions to commanders on every level of the military, from lieutenants on the front lines to VIPs in Pentagon war rooms. The Battlefield prediction software had been created under a 2008 DARPA initiative called Project Green Ball, and was eventually merged into the SOP, enabling the system to perform even more precise battlefield management. Of course, since each tactical pattern was mathematically generated on the fly, a perfect prediction remained impossible, unless you knew the equations. The Haven troopers under SOP control would be efficiently hunting for Snake and Naomi following the oracles passed down by the system. Naomi is dead! What? Do you mean Meryl? But the pursuit of efficiency and the elimination of wasteful effort could also lead to predictability. Gaudi's CPUs crunched through the numbers and, within 30 seconds of my command, reported its calculation. Snake, I said, I've run a simulation of the enemy's movement patterns. I'll send their projected routes to your solid eye. Please don't get caught. Snake dropped his stealth. He stood from his prone position and began a mad dash, putting complete faith in my calculations. He slipped through the pathways, narrowly avoiding any contact with the pursuers. Time limit aside, something akin to pride swelled within me at Snake's chest. I was the right-hand man of the legendary. I'm his right-hand arm man. This silly rabbit. Does he call you that? No. I'm Snake's everything. I'm his confidant, his right-hand arm man, his silly rabbit. Does he call you that? No. I was the partner of the man who made the impossible possible. Snake ran for his very life. One encounter with the enemy and he'd be killed in an instant. Yet he left his fate in the hands of the simulation I created. Snake reached the ship's aft without ever meeting the enemy. That is not engage the enemy. You know, I just had, my brain went, engage the enemy, and then started playing Unfinished Battle instead, because, I mean, they should have just replaced engage the enemy with Unfinished Battle, because Unfinished Battle literally only plays once in the entire game. Apparently it also plays again in, I can't even remember what it's called, the thingy, it's not Torn of the Golden Country. That is Xenoblade 2. I'm talking about Xenoblade Definitive Edition. You know, the thingy that's like a year after the game, but it only has Snake, Shulk, and Melia, and some rando Nopon, instead of like the rest of the party. What's up with that? Something this is gonna bother me. What is it called? Oh my god. I don't know what it's called. What is it called? Oh. Huh. Oh, is it in here? Oh, this is gonna bother me. This is upside down. Oh my god. Okay. Future Connected. That's what it is. I had to get out the hype book that I got because, you know, I had to get the freaking special edition thingy because I love Xenoblade. And I also I pre-ordered the Earthmade edition of Rune Factory 5, and I can't wait till that comes out. Anyway. It's March 22nd, I think. Anyway. Hold on. But, wait. He latched onto the bulkhead hatch and spun the wheel as quickly as he could. The efforts strained his aged, weakened muscles and joints. But with the encroaching threat of enemy patrols, he couldn't afford a moment's rest. Snake! I shouted. Get inside! A Haven Trooper unit came across the open space of the ship's aft. Snake gripped the handle, gritting his teeth so hard one of his molars chipped. What did I just say? He has bad teeth. Also, that's awful. I don't know. Just the idea of picking a tooth freaks me out for some reason. I don't like that. Just as the soldiers aimed their guns at his back, Snake unlocked the door, spit out the tooth fragment, and slipped inside with the Mark III. I'm assuming he spit the tooth at the people. Because that would be really funny. Snake closed the door and locked it. Outside, the Haven troopers unleashed a tremendous burst of gunfire. They were children throwing a tantrum. But the small arms fire had no hope of penetrating the thick metal of the watertight door. With the sound of denting metal echoing through the chamber, Snake leaned his back against the hatch and caught his breath, untouched by a single round. "Snake, are you all right?" I asked. I knew he wasn't. His telomeres had worn down and his cells approached their last divisions, and while his internal organs were all still there, they barely functioned. His lungs, half incapacitated by pulmonary fibrosis, had grown too stiff to absorb enough oxygen. Snake slid to the floor, his back propped against the hatch, and he gazed vacantly at the ceiling. His empty eyes bespoke fading blood oxygen and consciousness. The walls of his heart had swollen and lost elasticity and could no longer keep a steady pulse. His arteries and heart valves had hardened and were clogged with plaque. His organs and nervous system had been denatured by amyloid deposits. His heart was on the verge of bursting. The entirety of Snake's old age screamed out to him, "This is it. This is the end of your This is the end of your fight. This is it. Our final battle." That's a terrible Crom impression. Oh my god. And then it wasn't. It was like, no, I mean, yeah, in the bad future, sure, but in, like, the actual game, it's not. It's just, there's still more. I don't think, I'm trying to remember if Validar actually dies in that chapter. Or not. Anyway, whatever, it does not matter. Validar? That's his name, right? I'm pretty sure it is, but it sounds really weird. It doesn't sound right somehow. Between gasps, Snake's voice creaked out, "Otacon, I'm gonna finish this." But he wasn't saying it to me. Under his breath, he was cursing his decrepit body to cooperate. "Move, you old bag of bones. Just 10 more minutes. Just a little longer. Just keep together just that long and I can end everything. But not yet. I can't yield to pain and age until I've finished." "This'll be your last battle," Snake said. "Yeah," I said, not turning my eyes away from the image of the debilitated Snake on my screen. "It will." Seeing him like this pained me. I couldn't bear to watch my friend, the man who showed me a new way of living, spare his body from the verge of death and on to further suffering in the name of completing his duty. How many times had I swallowed back the words? Enough. Who cares about the world anymore if your spirit can find peace? This isn't Snake's fault. These sins aren't his to have to take, not a single one of them. I knew such thoughts were only falsehood. These past 9 years, nothing repulsed Snake and me more than the thought of pretending to be bystanders and watch as the world rotted. I couldn't stand on the sidelines anymore. That was what I told Snake at Shadow Moses. To betray those words now would go against all our time together. "We're responsible for Liquid's sins," I said. "Then the onus is ours to bear." There's this one post on Tumblr. It's like, this is my favorite picture of Otacon because it looks like he's saying anus, staring directly into the camera, and is also about to start crying. And it's like, I mean, isn't he always about to start crying? Otacon, my beloved. Anyway. Snake withdrew Naomi's auto-injector from a tactical pouch and pressed it to his neck. Compressed air delivered the liquid to his bloodstream, and his breathing steadied, if only by a bit. He had used the syringe many times now, and the nanomachines were losing effectiveness. Did I just say losing? Losing. Snake's body was degenerating faster than Naomi's suppressors could work. Snake stood and took unsteady steps down the ladderway to the lower decks, his hands finding the wall to support his tottering body. The entrance to the hallway leading to the server room was located in Haven's CIC, but this was nothing like any command center Snake had ever seen. He cautiously stepped into the room, M4 at the ready, shocked to find the space so wildly unreal. The initial CIC conjured an image of a stifling room stuffed with monitors and computers and a transparent plotting board standing in the center, but this was like a stadium. Each side of the octagonal dome space descended down platform levels to the central floor. Giant consoles, arrayed in tiers around the entire room, would have provided space found incredible numbers of operators to perform their duties. Floating above the 8-sided central space was our little rock, peaceful for the first time in a long while. A giant hologram of Earth. The expanse of the room was ridiculous. Snake allowed his contempt to register on his face. The space felt less like a command center than a stock exchange trading floor, or a conference hall, or an international convention center. With some disgust, Snake stepped under the giant canopy. In truth, the room wasn't for commanding Haven's battles. It was for commanding the world, the embodiment of so-called supercrunching, the distillation and homogenization of our surroundings into massive statistical datasets, the courtroom for our new gods to judge a reality extracted from exabytes of data. The space had been designed to compile data coming in from networks across the globe, and with that data chart the course of events, reshaping them into the narrative described by the Patriots. Snake, I said, be careful. I doubt this place is empty. The walkway Snake had taken into the room cut through the tiers like the entrance to the seating in a stadium or a theater. Sighting down his M4 for threats along the side platforms and ceiling, Snake moved with silent steps. Then as he swung his rifle to the center of the hall, he saw her lying there, Meryl. Snake recoiled back to hide himself from possible threat. He cursed under his breath and used the solid eyes zoom lens to observe Meryl, curled at the base of the virtual globe. Her wrists and ankles were bound in cable ties, and she lay helpless on the ground. Damn, Snake! I shouted. It's a trap! What was that? It's a trap! I sound like Mickey Mouse. It's a trap! Whatever. I haven't seen Star Wars in like so long. When did I was sure he already knew. This was a situation he'd encountered before. 9 years ago on Shadow Moses, Meryl had taken point when Wolf shot her legs to hold her in place, turning the woman into bait to lure Snake out. Snake, who managed to duck behind cover, couldn't do anything. Meryl was on her back, bleeding out, but Snake knew that the instant he poked his head out to help, the world's greatest sniper would send a bullet to open a hole in him. That was how snipers worked. They hunted their enemies through their rifle scopes, out of range of regular soldiers. Sharpshooter Shala. Oh my god. Regular infantry often killed in self-defense, but snipers shot only to kill. Snake felt the same helplessness again. You never can protect anyone. Frank's scream as liquid crushed him with a vex echoed through Snake's mind. Emma and Naomi, all the people wrapped up in the Snake's fate whom I couldn't protect. Is this the only way into the server room? Snake asked impatiently, pulling up the ship's schematic on a solid eye. I nodded. Yeah, you'd have to go through the blast-proof door in the CIC. They know it's our only way in. The perfect place to leave the bait. The troopers must be waiting to see which entrance I come in. Should I send in a decoy? The Mark III is needed to upload the worm to GW. If I die, we haven't necessarily failed. But one hole in the robot's little body and we're finished. Meryl didn't appear to be in much pain. But once our unseen ambushers knew Snake had arrived, they wouldn't necessarily kill her in one shot. They'd riddle her with bullets, just as Wolf had done to draw Snake out. This wasn't the time to be overcome by helplessness. Snake had to move, but Snake couldn't think of what to do. In the meantime, anxiety set adrenaline into his bloodstream, taxing his already overburdened heart. Just then, a figure appeared in the opposite hallway, sprinting into the room. Meryl! He shouted. That fool. Snake clicked his tongue and ran forward. It was Johnny. I don't know how he crawled out of the ocean, but here he was, dripping wet. He must have nearly drowned and been forced to ditch his weapon in the water, for he was completely unarmed, with only the bulletproof vest left to protect him. Johnny's legs were much quicker than Snake's, whose hardened and attenuated tendons only permitted limited movement. By the time Snake took his first steps, Johnny was already out of the entryway, beneath the dome and in the sniper's field of view. Snake shouted, "Johnny!" Johnny he is not in a car, to cover Meryl. In a flash, the space around his head was filled with a crimson mist. To Snake, who was already struggling with the feeling of being powerless, the sight was like salt rubbed into the wound. The injury spanning Snake's body and the pain of his heart seemed only illusory in comparison. Seeing the young man collapse before him, Snake was torn by waves of self-loathing. The instincts that made him the legendary man drove his body to action. In an instant, he deduced the bullet's trajectory and pinpointed the shooter's perch. He wrenched his upper body to face the direction and squeezed the trigger on his M4. The shot pierced through the bridge of the sniper's nose and passed out the back of his head, where the helmet remained intact, inside of which mixed brain and bone fragments like scrambled eggs. Yeah, because that's not ridiculous. I still think Screaming Mantis is way better than some random sniper. Of course, more than this man alone awaited Snake. Even troopers appeared from behind consoles and unleashed a volley of bullets. Snake, ducking behind the platform beneath a hologram, cut through Meryl's bonds with his stun knife, and the two dragged an immobile Johnny to the blast-proof door leading to the server room. Meryl quickly inspected Johnny's injury. He'd not been hit in the head, but rather in his shoulder. The bullet had passed straight through, though the wound was serious. Meryl withdrew a medical kit from a tactical pouch and stopped the bleeding. The blast door was at the very back of the CIC, sheltered from the troopers' line of fire. But enemy reinforcements continued to pour into the room. If they pushed in with their numbers, Snake and Meryl wouldn't be able to hold them back. Meryl drew her Desert Eagle, checked the chamber, and said, "Go on without me. This time, I'll protect you." "Meryl, go. Destroy GW while there's still time. While I'm still alive. At those words, Snake realized his arrogance. He couldn't leave the sins of the snakes to the world where Meryl and everybody else would live. He himself would take on the task and set things right. So he had rigidly believed. But this young woman was fighting for her future. Fighting to take this future Snake and I had stolen from her. Not that I ever thought she blamed us. Meryl came to this battle believing it was her fight. A world where we can live. A world where families and friends support each other, bear children, and pass down our stories through the generations. Snake and I had been conceited to think the struggle to reclaim that world was ours alone. We'd continued to fight out of a sense of responsibility. But while Snake fought for the past, Meryl risked her life for the future. Even though he literally says he's fighting for the future in Metal Gear Solid 2. It's a cycle of karma. You don't know any of the words. In the forest, grab your shotgun, shoot her, pull the trigger, something's hiding. Look back, watch out, where the hell are we? Escape from mother. How did we get here, man? Looking down the town of New LA, we must help each other as best us. There's a light can never pass away to the promised land. Now we're fighting hard in common land. It's a cycle of karma. Anyway, how much more value is within the setting up of guideposts to an uncertain future over making up for transgressions already committed. This much was simple. Pushing a heavy rock up a hill was harder than rolling it down. Snake realized, in the depth of his being, that this soldier at his side faced a battle far more difficult than his own. And so he must complete his duty. Snake, Meryl said, the corridor ahead is drenched in microwaves. Snake nodded. The microwaves would wash over him from all directions and excite the molecules of water in his body. His skin, his muscles, his heart, every part of his body containing any water, would cook. This was the end for him. Meryl held up her left arm. Snake wrapped his arm inside hers. A gesture... What? Between soldiers and between friends. I don't even know what... So she holds up her arm, and Snake wraps his arm inside hers, like... So she holds up her arm, Snake wraps his arm inside hers, so like, this? I don't know what they're doing. I'm so confused. We'll meet again on the other side, Meryl said, and Snake disappeared behind the hatch. Meryl leveled her Desert Eagle at the Haven troopers and began to fire. Deep in her chest, she held on to what Campbell had told her after we left them in Missouri's briefing room. As long as you have life, you must finish your duty. Not exactly a father's words to his daughter. Maybe more a commanding officer to his soldier. But Campbell had spent the majority of his life as a soldier, and those were the only words he could find. Believing them the only way to convey his true feelings, he shared them with his daughter. You know, I don't know if he said it in here, but definitely "You're my pride and joy" is way better than "As long as you have life, you must finish your duty." I mean, just saying, you know. No matter what happens, I'll be with you till the very end. As he spoke, Meryl finally understood. With little time remaining before the battle, recognizing her as an able soldier was the only way he had of expressing his fondness for her. You are my pride and joy. Those were his last words. Okay, never mind. She had to be worthy of his pride. I'm gay! You know, the line with the guy in the Tingle costume, he like jumps down and goes, I'm gay! She had to be the soldier Campbell believed her to be. Under the overwhelming firepower of the Haven troopers, Campbell's words gave Meryl support, and she held steadfast, protecting the doorway to the server room. The woman there was no longer the little girl with a crush on the legendary man. Just, you know, legendary man. Not a soldier, not a hero, not a mercenary, just a man. You know. She was a soldier. With eyes full of resolve, she gazed toward a future that needed her protection. She was strong, and she was a beautiful warrior. A true Sakimori. I don't know what that means, but, yeah. If you like this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And like my comic Tumblr, or I'll kick your ass. Bye-bye.